y'all, it's Mike with Neck on Tech. Let's talk about the Nubia Z60, about which I am mostly excited, but also a little bit sad. I'll tell you why right now. Here is the thick little unit otherwise known as the Nubia Z60. This, of course, is the global version, serious cousin to the Red Magic 9 Pro, marketed as a device with gamer specs without the gamer looks. And while we are on the subject of looks, I do adore the aesthetic of this phone. Very boxy shape, hard lines, next to nothing bezels, an under display camera for a clean front face, pronounced chin with a scratchy matte back end, dedicated shortcut button that you can customize a bit. By default, it turns your camera on, and a genuine sturdiness to it. When I say sturdy, I mean serious heft, breaking the scales at 246 grams. That's 13 grams more than the monstrous Galaxy S24 Ultra. You'll definitely notice the weight, and maybe you like a little lighter hand feel. Personally, I dig it because it feels premium, less plasticky than a lot of other phones on the market. I'm calling this my long-term review because I've been using this phone as my daily for just over a month, fully intending on making it my permanent pocket piece. But before I tell you why it didn't necessarily earn that title, let's review the specs. The Z60 Ultra runs Android 14, skinned by Nubia's MyOS 14, a predictable Android alt with a few notable software bumps that I'll discuss in performance. It's got a 6.8-inch AMOLED display, throwing 2480 by 1160p images. It's running the capable Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 backed by 12 gigs of RAM. It has a behemoth 6,000 milliamp battery, which might just be a signature feature. 80-watt wired charging with no wireless option. For cameras, it has a 50 megapixel IMX800 Sony main, a 64 megapixel telephoto, and a 12 megapixel selfie cam hidden under the screen that works about as well as you'd expect. It also has a dedicated gaming mode because you can't take the Red Magic out of the Nubia, or I don't know where I was going with that. I mentioned I was hoping to make a permanent switch to the Z60 Ultra, and I really was. I wanted to love this phone. More or less flagship specs, no-nonsense design, and a fairly reasonable $700 price tag, but unfortunately, the software side of things has dampened my enthusiasm. You can't blame it on the hardware because that Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 and all the RAM handle the most demanding games and apps without really breaking a sweat. But for reasons unknown built into the OS, I have experienced enough freezing, crashing, and stuttering in the most random use cases to keep me from handing over the keys. Additionally, the screen's fingerprint sensor struggles hard. Just to make sure it wasn't human error, I scrapped and rescanned my thumbs twice and still had the issue. The device has received 5 over-the-air updates since I got it, and I've seen incremental improvements, but nothing that gives me confidence it's going to be smooth sailing from here on out. The cameras are plenty powerful for my needs as a casual shooter, and if you fancy yourself a pro, you can get crazy with all the various modes and filters and settings built into the Z60. It can actually be a little overwhelming once you get on that rabbit hole, but as you can see, lots of detail and relatively true color science in these images, decent in low light as well. The video modes will take you all the way up to 8K 30 if you're feeling spicy, though don't expect the cleanest results there. The only real downer on the camera side is going to be that 12 megapixel front facer, and that's just the reality of under-screen middling sensors. If you want that uber clean, no cutout, notchless look, you're going to have to deal with cloudy, pretty blah selfies, which is how most of my selfies look regardless of the camera, so it could be a me problem too. All right, onto the feature that does set this device apart, and depending on your needs, may make it worth a go, the astounding battery life. Hearing myself say that, it doesn't sound all that sexy, but I kid you not, right out of the box, it took me 3 full days to drain the battery. And I'm not someone who scrolls TikTok for 9 hours a day, but I use my phone a lot for work and light gaming and texting green bubbles to all the iPhone users in my life. 3 days before I had to charge it. That is wild. And when you do need to juice it up, the included 80-watt brick will get you from 0 to 100 in 40 minutes or so. That's pretty great. If you're upset about the lack of wireless charging, I'm the wrong person to complain to because my consistent hot take is that wireless charging is silly and inefficient. Sorry. Okay, let's put this baby to bed. The Nubia Z60 Ultra has the potential to be a low-end flagship or high-end mid-range, however you want to classify it. And it's a good phone, but persistent software trouble holds it back from being a great phone, at least at the time of this review. Things I love. I mentioned the battery life. It is awesome. The AMOLED screen is a real looker, and the boxy build is a personal favorite of mine. Things I love less. That buggy software is going to be a challenge for a lot of us. And the essentially worthless selfie cam, not great if you need selfies. Nubia, I am not giving up on you because you make a lot of cool stuff. Keep updating this phone, and maybe it'll win me over in the end. But for now, I got to get back out and enjoy the 11 days of summer that we have in Minnesota. So thanks for watching the vid. You can like and subscribe below if you're into that kind of thing. And until next time, take care of yourself and the people you love.